طيب. ملا. It might be useful if you had my screen on one screen and you had another screen, either on a physical screen or maybe on the mobile. I will tell you what to do for that. If you have a mobile handy, it will come useful.
Illum minn tant ġranet għax qiegħed mill-office.
Hey! Okay, in that case, split the screen because you will need a second screen. Well, Errol, Floyd, Gary, Kevin, Glenn, Jamie J, Jamie, Kenneth ESM, Luke, okay, Maria and Nigel. Okay, so I will need a few seconds for Jamie. If I don't realize, draw my attention when Jamie arrives, if anyone has a keen eye. Okay, so what else? Mela. So, yeah, so today we're going to look at chapter 5, needed for the final assignment. But no, we're going to do some revision. That's what we planned, to do revision today, but we'll leave that for next time. Well, just to worry you a bit. Yes, some revision. Okay, what do we have for revision? Okay.
Like they've localized it differently to kind of like
no, this one.
Make you think of it differently from these two, but that's absolutely it's going to be.
And it will
Lonnie,
be
Lena, and Lynn.
Interesting. How many are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's a bit of a problem because let me check.
You were waiting for Jamie by any chance?
Eva?
Punched in just now.
Okay, he's joining into the.
It's overall a matter of taste as far as whether or not
Yes.
you like open world stuff. But I do think that
Okay,
FromSoft's,
there's a bit
like,
of a limitation that I
difficulty balancing
did not
and the
plan in
linear
mind. Jamie,
direction
what's
of
that?
player
Yep.
progression.
Mala. Jamie present. Okay. Mala. So, what I prepared for today. So, for revision, I prepared a quiz. All right, a quiz, which will allow me after each question to explain, the answers. I have one small limitation. Well, not small. The game only takes 10 players. You can all see it, but just your input will not be captured. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 3 of you, either volunteers or whoever gets there first. So will not show their choice. So you can of course play along. You can still mark your answer, and we will check with you what you chose. You will not get the scores. We're not kids. we're a bit of hopefully still a bit of kids with us, but a bit more mature. So it's a Kahoot game, okay, which I prepared for a revision on audio design. So the questions are of course related to audio design, and there's a bit of timing as well. The way it works is I will show the questions on my screen. I will explain anyway. You might have used Kahoot or might not. No issues. So I will show the question on my screen, and there will be 4 options. Most of them are 4 options. Some of them are true or false. And the 4 options are identified by color or by shape. And there's a timer. Most of them are 30 seconds. The true and false are 20 seconds. And you have to choose the correct one for each question, at the end of which it will show how many answered chose which option, all right? And that will also show you the correct one. And then we'll have a discussion of why that's the correct one and why the others are wrong. So, well. Issa, you have to click on on your options on your screen. Okay, so clicking on my screen will not register your choice. That's why I said if you have a mobile, it helps, because you could have my screen on your full screen, and you can, I guess, download Kahoot on your mobile, and I will give you a PIN number. Everyone will get a PIN number to connect to the game and be able to choose from your mobile. So your mobile would look like just 4 buttons, all right? And you have to read the questions from my screen, and you pick on the 4 buttons which answer you want to take on. So, how shall we do this? So I need 10 who will be connected with the game directly, and 3 of you who will take down your answers, whatever you want, really. And then let us know what you chose. So, shall I have 3 volunteers, or shall we make it a who gets there first?
I can be one of the 3, no problem.
Thank you, Carmel.
I'm okay with that as well.
Thank you, Gary. We just need 1 more.
Same here.
And Errol, thank you very much. So Carmel, Errol, and Gary are there. Floyd, just between them on the list, he's going to be playing. Okay. Mela. So those who are using the mobile, download Kahoot. K-A-H-O-O-T. I can share the screen. So it's this one, Kahoot. There's an app, I guess even on iPhones. I hope so. If you're going to use the mobile. If not, on the browser, you should go to Kahoot.K-A-H-O-O-T.
Okay.
K-A-H-O-O-T. I'm going to give you a PIN number. Okay, you enter the PIN number, you press enter, and then you pick a name for yourself. All right? Don't name yourself the name of someone else. Let's keep it clean. So it's creating the PIN number. Mela. So you have to go to kahoot.it and you have to enter this PIN number, which I will also paste into the chat. 1543275. We're joined by Kenny Rogers already. Well, it can be done on the PC, yes, Alexandro. So you have the link there. The PIN number is 1543275. You can click on the link as well. It's easier.
You can just follow via Discord then and get your view now.
On my view, you're going to see the question and the choices. All right. Then you have to pick the choice on your browser or on your mobile or on your whatever other device.
But I'm one of the extra 3, so I just have to.
You just look at mine and sorry, I didn't recognize the voice.
Okay.
Just write down on the paper.
Thank you.
Okay, so 3, 6, 8. We're missing 2 more. Alexander is going to join us on live or on paper. Because you said me too. I didn't see you. Sorry. I need to get my mobile so I have a second view to the chat.
You're going to be posting the questions on the chat or on your screen?
On the screen. No, I'm checking if Alexandru's going to be on paper or live. I mean, there's space for you live, Alexandru, if you can. Because I didn't notice your offer earlier. I'm just connecting via mobile to the channel. Where is it? 10328. There. So I can see that. Are you in now? Okay. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm fine with 11.
Sorry, sir, but count me out because I just joined in the group, but maybe I'm the 11th one. I am the one of the 3. That's because I downloaded the game. So you won't kick me out.
Remind me your name. Or how you signed in. How you signed in.
Karapa.
Okay. Okay. So you should look at the question on my screen and answer on your browser screen. All right. So don't click on my screen. Doesn't register your answers. let's start with the first one. Let's get an idea. So what is used to locate sound direction? There's the pinna, the cochlea, the eardrum, and the stirrup or stapes. Of music. Ten seconds left.
So the
3 seconds. Okay. So we managed 10 answers. Great. Let's Carmel, which one did you choose?
Sorry, pinna.
The pinna. Okay. Gavin or Gary?
Pinna.
Pinna. Okay, so Mela, used to locate sound direction. Consider that the information about from where it's coming, okay, is in your surroundings. It's not within the sound itself, but rather it is from where the sound is coming. So it cannot be something, it cannot be a part of the ear that is inside your head. It has to be something which is outside your head. So the cochlea is really inside, okay? It's in the inner ear, that's not it. The eardrum is in the middle ear. It's almost in the, how to say, in the borderline between the outer and the inner. It's the doorway to the middle ear. And the stirrup and the stapes are in the middle ear behind the eardrum. While the eardrum is in contact with the outside world, it might is inside the ear canal. Okay, so the ear canal is hiding it away from outside. So the answer is the pinna. The pinna is what we call the ear, what is actually visible. To understand further how the pinna is used to locate sound direction, just look at cats. Okay, just look at cats. We lost the ability, or maybe some of you might have, but we lost the ability to wiggle our ears to sort of help us identify where sound is coming. In fact, we have to rotate our head in order to identify better where the sound is coming from. Cats, they move their ears in a way to sort of, they can keep their head lazily stationary, and then just use their ears to check sounds, and then if it's interesting, then they will turn their head. How is it helping us? Well, first of all, it's our satellite dish. But it's also all those folds within the pinna cause turbulence within the sound, and the fluctuations in the sound are the clues that we use to understand from where the sound is coming from where the sound is coming from. Okay, so 2 of you are running ahead, and those are Floyd and Alex. Okay, ready for the next one? Hopefully. I got 10 answers here, so it looks like everybody has got an idea of how to answer it. Don't forget, don't click on my screen. It doesn't register your answers. Next question. This audio representation shows what? Ten seconds. Okay. Okay. So, let's show the media. Carmel, Gavin, Gary?
I did sampling rate over time.
Sampling rate over time?
I went for amplitude, but I almost chose sampling rate as well. So,
All right.
because the thing is, sampling rate is top to bottom, right? That's how it's viewed. The frequency is how close the waves are, and the amplitude is the volume, kind of, so up and down, right?
Yes.
But then, at the same time, the sampling rate, it's a sample, no? In this case, there's still a sample there.
It's a sampling rate, and the sampling rate is constant. In fact, the sampling rate is shown here as 44,100. So the sampling rate, usually it's constant.
Low score, all right.
All right. The other one?
By the frequency.
Frequency. Okay. So the hint here is the y-axis. Okay. So the y-axis is from -1 to 1. From -1 to 1. And that -1 to 1 is basically the sine curve, okay, the cosine curve. Those functions, sine and cosine, give us a value between -1 and 1, which is basically how much the wave, moves away from the position of rest, which is 0. Issa, all of them were over time. So that was clear. In fact, I chose not to change that because you're not seeing the units on the x-axis. But yes, all of them are over time. Issa, so the sampling rate, we said that's something which is usually, which is constant. Over time it's constant, so it won't change like this. So we have timbre, frequency, and amplitude. Now, timbre is the voice of me, of an instrument, of certain things, which is made up from frequencies. And frequencies, as I believe Gary or Gavin explained, is how many wavelengths I can fit into a second. Okay, how many wavelengths I can fit into a second. Here, if we zoomed in, we're going to see the waves. So we could work out the frequency if we had a clean wave. But when you have a representation, it should be showing it to you directly. You don't have to work it out yourself. So it's not easy to show the frequency here, especially of a complex sound that we have here. It's not like a sine wave, a nice clean sine wave. So what we're actually seeing is the change of amplitude over time. Okay, how the wave pressure moves the molecule away from rest with compressions and rarefactions. Okay, so that is a second one for Alex, and we have quite a few getting some points there as well. Great. Let's see the next, unless there are questions on that one. Okay, so next question. The spectrum shows an instrument. So there you have a spectrum, okay, and you have the two, what is being shown, the amplitude against the frequency now, not against time. And what can we see here? Five seconds. Okay, so I almost gave the answer in the previous question. Carmel? Well, actually, what we can do, so without spend time asking. Once.
Sorry, Timber. I didn't notice.
You can use the chat, and you can type it down, and then when the time goes off, just press enter. So you send it.
All right.
So write it down. Press enter once the gong goes down.
A question on this.
Yes.
I picked timbre because it kind of my intuition told me the answer should be timbre because it's frequency against decibels amplitude, so it's technically loudness as well. Now.
Okay, loudness, however, would be a generic value. All right, loudness would be how loud is a sound.
Yes.
In its totality. So here we could pick the.
Okay.
We could pick this one plus this one plus this one plus this one, sort of, and get an overall loudness.
As opposed to timbre, which is the whole range. It refers to the whole range, all the harmonics.
Exactly. Right. So, duration, nobody picked that up. Okay, so that's fine. In fact, there was no time involved. It's a frequency, an instrument's frequency. If it was frequencies, plural, okay, it might have been acceptable. And even if it was harmonics, it would have been even correct. Since I put in frequency, the frequency could be almost, if you're trying to play, if you want to play a particular note, all right, you're going to play that note's frequency. Let's say it's this one, all right, it's like a 440. But, and that's the note you tried to play on the instrument. But when you played that 440, you also got a few more frequencies present. So this diagram doesn't only show us the instrument's attempted frequency, but it also shows us all the harmonics that the instrument emitted. And those harmonics, okay, basically make up the voice, okay, the timbre of the instrument. This one probably was something close to, if I would go for a guess, okay, would be something like a violin, okay, because there's quite a broad range of frequencies present. A flute would only have this one and the next one, okay, maybe this one would have been up high up here, and then the rest all dampened. So we use a spectrum like this to show which frequencies are present in the instrument's performance of the sound. It could be a voice, okay? It could be a voice. In fact, when we use voice recognition, what we're looking for is these harmonics. These harmonics and how loud they are. Because, of course, if I make a note, okay, and one of you makes a note, we will both make the same note, hopefully, if we are in tune. And even the harmonics, they are fixed, since they are integer multiples of that frequency. So if both of us play the 100 Hertz note, both of us will also emit the 200, the 300, 400, 500, all the integer multiples, but with different amplitudes for each. Me, with a bass voice, I would have the lower harmonics much louder than the upper ones. If one of the ladies sings with me, she has a higher pitched voice. So together with that frequency of the 100 Hertz, the upper harmonics, maybe the 600, 700, 800, will be louder than the lower ones, which would be louder for me. Okay, so this is a snapshot sort of frequencies emitted by an instrument, that is the timbre of the instrument. If the instrument is damaged, okay, that will change its voice. It's like when we are sick, okay, if we get a cold or flu, okay, if I block my nose like this, it will influence the harmonics coming out from a person's voice. Okay, so Floyd didn't get that one right, but he kept his place, and Alex is feeling warm. Okay, Mela, let's go for the next one. So Gary is already typing. Okay, finish us, Gary.
No, it's just to keep the screen active.
Okay. So those who are offline, okay, you will put the answer in the chat, and when the time finishes, you present it. So next question is a true or false question. This spectrum shows an ultrasonic signal to call dogs. Ten seconds. Okay. Now, okay, why was it not true? So, an ultrasonic signal to call dogs. Being ultrasonic means it is beyond our range of hearing. And so we can't hear it, but the dogs can. As our range of hearing is from 20 Hertz to 20,000 Hertz to 20 kilohertz. And of course, the range here is only up to 3000 Hertz. And the signal is loudest, is highest amplitude is at somewhere like 440, okay, or 400, let's go 400 Hertz. All right. So it is more a male voice rather than an ultrasonic signal to call dogs, because it's too low to be ultrasonic. Ultrasonic is beyond 20,000 Hertz. Even the axes don't arrive up to 20,000 Hertz. So that's actually not showing the ultrasonic signal. Okay, we have Brigitte coming from the rear with some points, and Luke close by. Alex hasn't made a mistake yet. Okay, so let's try next question. Pitch detection occurs where? Ten seconds, no answers yet. Okay. Okay. Inner. Karmaşık tip. Inner. All right. Gavin, if you can type in the chat, you'd have a sort of a contribution there. So, what is pitch? So, pitch basically is frequency, right? Pitch is the name we use for, it's the musical term, if you like, for frequencies. And we detect frequencies not in the middle ear. The middle ear, that's the eardrum, hammer, stapes, and anvil, all right? That's the middle ear part, is the amplification part. Okay, so we don't detect frequencies there. It's in the inner ear, in the cochlea, where we actually detect pitch. Okay, quite successful overall. Someone missed answering. Apparently, I had 9 answers there out of 10. Hope everything is okay. Okay, the leaderboard is still there. Okay, we're 1/4 of the way in half an hour. That makes sense. Okay, so question 6 coming up. So remember, don't click on the screen, click on your device, and those who are doing it offline, write in the chat and press enter when the time finishes. Next question is a 4-choice quiz. Eardrum is to microphone, as speakers are to... So what organ matches the speakers if the microphone matches the eardrum? Ten seconds. Okay, so the offline guys got it correct. Okay, so the eardrum is like a microphone, or sorry, a microphone is like an eardrum because it has a diaphragm to sense the vibrations, which are emitted by the speakers, but in the human body, those that emit the sounds are the vocal cords. It's not the cochlea because the cochlea is behind the eardrum. Okay, so it's sensing the frequencies. It's listening to the sound as well. Speakers don't listen to sound. Speakers emit sound. So neither the pinna nor the cochlea are into this. In this, we want something which emits the sound. Now, I hope you, I hope you're not very noisy when you kiss someone. The lips, okay, could be used to emit a sound, but usually, the actual vibration of the air is coming from the vocal cords as a result of a bigger diaphragm, okay, bigger diaphragm underneath your lungs, which is helping to push the air out through your vocal cords, causing the air to vibrate and reach your eardrum. Okay, why is Alexander's typing? Let's see. Okay, nothing. All right. Oh, all right. Okay, so we broke Alex's streak there, but Luke is coming up with his. Okay, Alex. So I was like, you're not a very noisy kisser. Okay. Yeah, so it's a try matching. So if the eardrum is the microphone with sensing sound, speakers are making the sound. What do we use to make the sound from our end? And that's the vocal cords. Okay. Next. Is it clear now, Alexander? Did you understand the question now? Okay. Okay, so 7. Which microphone type to use to record a soundscape? What type of microphone should we use to record a soundscape? Ten seconds. Okay. The offliners, mostly Omni. Okay, so we have 2 bidirectionals and a binaural. Okay, so okay, let's tackle the binaural. Would I say it's wrong? Okay, I'll give you a benefit of the doubt there, in the sense that we ourselves, right, use binaural to listen to stereo sound. Yeah, Yeah. And of course, we do not have multiple types of microphones. We just have two microphones, one on each side of our head. And binaural helps us identify where sound is coming from. Okay, helps identify where, an alarm or someone flicking their fingers to catch our attention. We use our ears to detect that. A soundscape. Now the question is this, okay? What we understand by soundscape? What we understand by soundscape? And the soundscape doesn't have. It's everywhere. So if you are in a place, you are surrounded by the soundscape. So even though, let's say there's a car passing by, okay, if you are in the middle of the road, yes, you would be, okay, where's the car coming from? So I, jump away from the road. But when you have a soundscape is more of a background sound. It's not a foregrounded sound, it's more of a background sound. And kind of also, this links back to your readings for the assignment. Yeah, it is with two ears, Floyd. Yes, that's what I'm saying, all right? It is with two ears, but we need it to identify foreground sounds. Whereas with soundscape, it is more of a background noise. Just like if you have a landscape in a painting, okay? It's something in the background. You can't distinguish between what's really closer to you or further back. And so we're not interested in where it's coming from. So that sort of disallows or invalidates the binaural. Then we have the others, right? The cardioid, the bidirectional, and the omnidirectional. Since the soundscape is coming from all directions, that's the literal translation of omnidirectional. Okay? Omni means everywhere or every. Just
Actually, my brain thought that I mistook omni with unidirectional.
That's
Actually.
right. That's right.
But then
Yes.
after I realized that one,
Like Rajos, yes, yes. So uni would be in one direction,
one direction exactly.
okay, which is a nice band, but it's also, you could say,
Not my
cardioid.
choice.
Cardioid. Cardioid is also cardioid is the one direction. In fact, okay, it's a single direction for it, and could be said that that was part of the trick, right? You say, oh, there's no uni. No, cardioid is one directional, bidirectional. That's back and front, and omnidirectional is from everywhere. Okay. And we see Kenny Rogers taking the lead. Interesting here. 3 players just hit an answer streak of 5. Apart from the offliners. I'm not keeping track of the offliners. But yeah, it's for your own sake anyway. So okay, make sure you keep that. A bit more. Does that even help? I hope so. Okay. Question 8. 4 options. Why are earphones unsuitable for interactive digital experiences? Unsuitable for interactive, so where you are interacting with the system, digital experiences. Why are they unsuitable, not suitable? 10 seconds left. Okay.
I've asked some now.
So we're talking about the earphones, okay, the small ones. The small earphones that have a small diaphragm because they have to fit in your ear, but they still convey enough sound not to be deemed unsuitable, not on that purpose. They are louder because being inside your ear, you get plus 9 decibels, basically, to that. Of course, they're portable. That is nice. Portable is something why they are suitable. The problem is that they usually lack noise cancellation abilities.
So that's why. All right. So
I mean, these are suitable because I have the cups on my ear, so I don't listen to my kids grumbling or or my wife shouting at them. So this blocks the noise. If you had earphones, your ears are still listening to your surroundings and sending it to your ears, so you can still hear your surrounding. Which is why they are actually good for jogging and outside walking, because you're still a bit aware of your surroundings. And when I'm coming from behind you, ringing my bell, hopefully you can still hear me. This morning, not this morning, yesterday, I was behind a person who had like these. It's no use ringing the bell. She won't hear me. So I just overtook her from really far away, so not to scare her as well. So if you're going for interactive digital experiences, you're better off closing off your ears out.
I think the tech industry begs to differ, but yeah, it is the closest one.
It's improving, I know.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is they would have an extra microphone on the outside so that they listen to the noise around you, and then it creates an inverse sound to that so as to cancel out the noise that is coming from outside. The problem with that is that if you have a frequency inside your sound which is matching to some extent what is external, that sound is also getting diminished. So that's my counter argument to that. Okay, you might cancel the noise, but what guarantee you have that you're not also canceling some of the sound that you want to listen to as well?
But even the what are they called? The ones that they analyze sounds with for testing, they cost like €200. They still technically do it. They do it naturally though. There's a lot of suction, so nothing else comes through. There's no air coming through, so you can't hear anything from the outside. But again, yes, it's the closest one in this case. So
maybe it's the one Brigitte is referring to.
no, not those. Let me find those out.
Actually, I have bought a pair like this last weekend, and they do have these functionalities. Però, can I ask you something, sir, if I may?
Sure.
I got mixed up when I read interactive digital experiences. What do you mean exactly by an interactive digital experience in this case?
Okay, so a digital experience, of course, is delivered through a digital means, so it's not performed live in front of you. And to be fair, the word interactive is not really necessary. Interactive is like a game, all right, or a VR experience, which requires you to be fully immersed.
Okay.
Right? So you are cut out from your surroundings and more immersed into this experience. And the interaction will require you to be also be immersive. So this also answers maybe Alexander's question. It would be essential if it's going to be an immersive experience, okay? Because if you are listening to the noise around you, you will be less immersed into the experience itself. So maybe, yes, the hint here is maybe I should replace interactive with immersive, right? For immersive, the experiences, I think that will make it a better question. Thank you for the feedback on that.
No worries. I'm asking because I did once experience. It was an actual interactive digital experience. You would have headphones in, but you would be walking through a whole place. And the way it was built was that you would be hearing sounds from your headset, but at the same time you would also hear more like feel sounds coming out from the outside, and because it was bass boosted, so you would feel certain vibrations and that hum coming from the outside. So that is the reason why I selected small diaphragm in this scenario. But yes, understanding that this question was more in relation to the level of immersion rather than anything else. Yes, now I understand the answer being noise cancellation abilities. Thank you.
It's the monitoring ones. The monitoring earphones, they cost like €400. They're made for engineers, technically.
Okay,
So
okay,
not consumer
okay.
product.
Okay, that's maybe beyond my expertise there in the left part of technicality. But just answering the previous, I think, Kenneth, right? Yes, if you're going to have hums, so low frequencies being haptically sensed, right, through movement, there you need large diaphragms, yes. Sennheiser, oh yes. Extreme fine resolution, 16 ohms.
Behringer
Yeah.
make good ones as well for monitoring.
Yes.
Fisher as well.
Ecco.
Maha, they're different ball game.
Okay. Shall we move on? Next question. Also see who is on top now. Oh, Luke has had a nice run up to the first position. Right? Mela. Next question. Question 9. A digital audio workstation software can... So like Audacity. Okay. What can we do with that? Ten seconds. Okay, offliners, all of the above, so correct. Yeah, so I can't say you're wrong. I mean, it does remove background noise, it does remove specific sound sources, but it can also remove silence. Okay, you can just pick the part of the sound with silence and delete it. So yeah, a DAW can do all of these. So it can remove background noise. Literally what you do is you select part of the sound where there's just noise, okay, and you said, okay, this is noise. It does basically the noise cancellation we just talked about on earphones. Okay, it listens to noise and then it removes it from the rest of the sound, and that's what the DAW does. Reducing a specific sound source, we can also do that with filters. Okay, we can apply a filter which will clear off, of course, a range of frequencies. So a specific sound source in terms of frequencies of that sound source can remove it as well. And as I said, also the silence. Okay. Floyd catching up a bit there. All right. Mela, question 10. Halfway there. So, compression at the mixing stage. Okay, what is compression at the mixing stage? 10 seconds. 5. So, reduce. Okay, you had to pick the one, Marcos. There are two of them. Reduce.
Yeah, it's not file size. I made a mistake.
Okay, so compression is about reducing sound file size, but not at the mixing stage. Okay.
Exactly. I was mixed up. Yeah.
That's why multiple choice questions can be dangerous, right?
Mm.
All right. So, who chose the green one, attenuating the louder sound levels, is not totally wrong. Okay, it does that, but not only that, it also amplifies the lower sound levels. All right. So, and in doing so, in amplifying the lower levels, and in attenuating, so diminishing the value of the louder sound levels, what happens is we diminish the range between the least loud and the most loud. Okay, so we're diminishing that gap. Yes, so for those 6 of you who chose reducing the sound file 7, it is compression as well, so turning a wave to MP3, for example. But that's not in the mixing stage. All right, that happens before, when you are prior to getting it into the mix, or either prior or after. With mixing here, we're dealing with all the sounds together. How can we make them sound more coherent? How can we make them sound, in this case, at a more consistent sound level? If this doesn't happen, okay, if compression doesn't happen at the mixing stage, you would end up, if you're watching a film, okay, they're whispering. I can't hear what on earth they're saying, so let me turn up the volume. In the next 3 seconds, an explosion happens, and your mental piece falls off because it's too loud. So you have to lower it down, and then you can't hear the next whisper. So, you don't expect that. You're going to watch a film. You expect to set the volume so you're comfortable, and you leave it like that. That's what mixing does. Okay, mixing makes sure that all the sounds are equally audible. They still have this notion of quietness and loud somehow, but not at the expense of volume. Not at the expense of volume. You notice this, in fact, when you get adverts. Maybe more in our days, more than today, but we still, you still get Grammarly, right? But when you're watching a series or a film, on a TV especially, and there are the commercials, what happens is that, the commercial doesn't care about the film, and doesn't know about the film, so the commercial would have its own sound level, which would be different from what you were watching. And so, yes, back in our days when watching a film and then the adverts come along, and your parents like, Bashir, lower it down. Oh, wait, it's the adverts, not my fault, people. And I'm actually right now thinking, I'm wondering if especially the not Mediaset, sorry, the RAI, but even Mediaset, they do, between the film series and the adverts, they do get this kind of jingle for the channel, which might be sort of, listen, there's going to be a change of loudness here. Be careful for the sound. I know, and I would use it for that, practically. I would use it for that. Okay, so yes, I'm happy. I appreciate the fact that 6 of you mistook compression, because it's important to realize now, rather than the exam was real, that compression has more than one meaning. It can be compression of file size and compression of the loudness range of the sound.
So essentially said, if I understood correctly, the first option, compression to reduce the file size, is pre or post production, but during production it is reducing the loudness range.
Also because at production you want to work with the actual sound, with the raw sound, with the raw data, right? And then if there's any compression to be done, it's when you are delivering it to media. So you'd have the big file, and then we're sending it onto a CD or DVD. We're uploading it to a file server. We're streaming it. Okay, so then you would choose the proper compression for that medium. But here, production, you would want to work with the actual raw data. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. So, any changes here? Ooh, okay. So we had a few down here who got some more points, and Luke keeps rushing ahead. Still 800, just 800 points there, and halfway, still time. Okay, 11. In a speaker system, low-pass filters send... So which frequencies are sent to which speakers? 5 seconds. Okay. Offliners are with the lows. Mela. This is a common pitfall, all right? Because you tend to
Confused because it's a filter. That's why filtering,
I know.
filtering, you know. And that's so I thought. I mean, it's too obvious to be low frequencies, a low pass, and it's a filter, so it's filtering. So I went for like either high or mid. That makes sense now.
Yes, that's the confusion with these splatted filters because they say it's a filter, but then they say what passes, all right, and they say what passes. In fact, I don't know if you've seen it. I posted here this picture, right? So the high pass filter and the low pass filter. So the high pass filter is Buzz Lightyear at the roller coaster. Okay, you must be at least this tall. Not roller coaster, sorry, it's a playing ground. Sorry, playing area. You must be at least this tall to play. So if you are shorter than that, you are not allowed to play. So it filters out shorter people. Sorry, but the name given is what it allows to pass. So it's a high pass filter. It allows higher or taller children to pass through, but shorter ones, I'm sorry, this is not safe for you. On the other side, we have the low pass filter. It filters out tall giants and only allows low people to pass. I think I took this from Lord of the Rings, I think, from Dwarven entrance.
It's not the mind of Marianne, no?
Sorry?
I don't
Not-
think it's
Not Minas Tirith. No. I'm not sure it's even from that idea actually. Of course, you would say, listen, but don't you just bend your head or bend your back so you can pass? I don't know if you've seen 13th Warrior. It's an old Antonio Banderas film, and it was about Vikings. And in that film, their houses or their abodes, whatever house they had very low doors. They had very low doors, and they, as a people, they're quite tall. And sort of this visitor, because Antonio Banderas plays the role of a visitor to the region, and he's like, "Why do you have a low door when you are so tall?" And the answer was, "Well, with a low door, a single person can defend the place." And he's like, "What do you mean?" Well, to enter through a low door, you have to bend your back and you come in head first, and we can chop off their heads as they come in. We can defend it very nicely. So yeah, you don't pass if you bend. The problem is if a dwarf comes in. All right, they would be just send a dwarf to the Vikings and you can beat them. Okay, so I'm assuming Mela those who went for the high frequencies were misguided by the low filtering the lows. You stop the lows, you allow the high to pass. But you got it right, at least those two who chose this one in the case of the subwoofer. Okay, the subwoofer. We use the low pass filter for the subwoofer to send the low frequencies to that. Okay. Brigitte is back in the spotlight. Luke keeps running ahead. All right. Mela. Question 12. True or false? Dissonance is an overlap of two tones that causes a pleasant sensation. Five seconds for that final answer. We have a false from Gary. Mela, I guess I misguided you with the picture.
Isn't it unpleasant though, sir? Yeah. dissonance, yeah, or like overlap of two tones. Maaf.
Hey, Jamie?
Isn't it unpleasant, like hearing an overlap of two tones?
As that? Yes, it's unpleasant. So it's false.
As that.
So it's
All right,
false
yeah.
because it's pleasant. Yes, so Alexandru said, yeah, it gave it away. But also the question was a bit nasty, right? Because the statement is that it causes a pleasant sensation. But I chose an opposite picture, which said that it's super crappy, right? It's unpleasant. So if you answered according to the GIF and you chose true, then you were misguided by the read the question well. That's the trick. That's the trick I wanted to pass here. Okay, make sure to read the question well. So dissonance is an overlap of two tones that causes an unpleasant sensation. Okay, we don't like it because what happens physically is that the cilia in your cochlea are trying to um, uh, play along. All right, sense a frequency, but then they're also trying to sense a different frequency. It's like you trying to follow two conversations. All right, and you can't keep up with both conversations at the same time. And that's what happens to your cilia when the two frequencies are too close and in the intersecting cilia don't know with which song to dance, practically. And that causes this unpleasant sensation. Right. So that gives some more points to some more people. Okay. Off to number two. So it's not just, I'm not just testing your knowledge here, but also your focus on the questions here. Okay, 13. Acquids MIDI. 10 seconds. Okay. All right. A wide variety of answers here. And only 3 picked the right one. What was that kind of communicate PV? Okay, you got it right. Okay, all right. So, Mela, let's explain what's going on.
Provided I tried to catch up.
Okay. Mela, so MIDI. MIDI is musical instrument digital interface. Okay, it's something that we connect to mostly a synthesizer, but I do believe there are other instruments which can accept a MIDI connection. And a MIDI, it's something that we can download, say, from applications like Noteflight. So if we go into Noteflight, I could have just signed in with that. Sorry. Yes. So if I open a melody, okay, we have this. I think it's the same one I showed you last time. And there is somewhere a download button here. Okay, I can export, and I can export it as a paper, okay, so as a PDF, or I can export it as a MIDI, okay, for performance or for import into a notation editor. Let's go for MIDI for now. And if you realize, I could also export it as an MP3 or a wave. All right. Export is complete. So let's get the differences between them. So, yeah, I can open this. I'll just display. Okay, that's the MP3. This is the this was the MIDI file, sorry. That was the MIDI file. The MP3. Quite similar, right? Because they're both piano. But the MIDI is
harmonics.
the timbre. Anzi, naħseb more than the timbre. There is a longer release on the MP3. A longer release on the MP3. So what is happening? The MIDI file is basically these instructions here. Okay, play this note for this duration. Play this note for this duration. Play this note for this duration. It's something which I can export to PDF. Okay, like this. I can give it to my daughter, and she can play it on her flute. I can give it to my son. He can play it on his violin. So these are performance instructions. Issa, these instructions need to be performed, need to be executed in order to become sound. Issa, when I play a MIDI, all right, the conversion or the performance of these instructions into sound is happening on my computer right now. Okay, my sound card has samples of different instruments. Here I have chosen the keyboard as my instrument, and so the sound card is using the samples it has for the keyboard, for the piano, and performing these instructions right now, okay, on my machine. Just as if I came here and play. Same thing, all right? Those instructions are being performed on my machine here. When I export it to MP3, okay, or WAV, whatever, that conversion from note instructions, from performance instructions to sounds was done on the server. Okay, the web server of Noteflight did their own conversion, their own performance of these instructions into an MP3, and I downloaded the MP3. So in this case, the MP3 was done on the cloud, as we like to say it nowadays, whereas the MIDI file is being done in real time on my system. So what I detected a bit difference, okay, was that this one, basically when we stop here, okay, this is a rest. It stops playing. The note ends quickly. Okay, this is not a long duration of the note. See if you can detect that. It's quite tone stopped, right? Whereas the MP3, okay, it's prolonged a bit more.
So it's not being played as a whole note there, or I mean, maybe it's more realistic. It's more realistic, basically. That's why it confused me. Like there was realistic, because it's more like real time.
Okay, yeah. So this one doesn't have any room acoustics. When in the MP3, it seems like it had some room acoustics, so the echo of the note was longer. I'm not after whether it's longer or not. I'm just showing that it's not consistent. Okay, because we had a question here. We had a question here. A consistent aural experience across devices. MIDI depends on the sound card. Now, if I have 10 machines all with the same sound card, then yes, I'm going to have a consistent experience. But if I play it on my older machine which has maybe a 32-bit sound card, it has a different wavetable for MIDI, and so it will sound different. If I play it on my mobile or maybe on my older Nokia, all right, it would have a different MIDI chip, and so it would have different sounds to play for those instructions. So it's not providing consistent experience. It's not like MP3. MP3 is performed in one place, recorded, and then when played back, it will always play the same MP3, whether it's on a mobile, on the computer, on the laptop, wherever. Provides realistic playback? No, because it's only giving us the instructions. It's only giving us the instructions. Effectively, it's just, these. It's just these instructions. So it's not telling me, listen, back. I like your playback, not performance. Playback. It's something that was recorded and being played back. It's not like we're listening to Queen live at the Wembley, right, with all the noise, etc. Now, listening to that is a realistic playback. But in the case of MIDI, because it's not capturing neither the sound of the instruments, neither the performance sounds, okay, like someone, Brian May had 50 cents for his pick, okay, which was part of the performance itself. If a violinist is doing the vibrato with his fingers on the chord, those are not being captured, all right? So it's not realistic. And I chose the word playback on purpose, okay? Not a performance, but a playback. It was performed, and we are listening again to that same performance. And it's not a compressed WAV file. It is small in size, okay? This is like 347 bytes. The MP3 is 331K. Wow, all right? 347 bytes. That's like times 8, okay? 2,500 bits. This one is 331 kilobytes, 1,000 bytes. And that's MP3, not even a WAV file. Okay, as a WAV file, this would come down as 3.8 megabytes. All right, so a WAV file there's 2.8 megabytes. This
Can you
one.
play the wave?
Can I play the wave? Okay, audibly the same as the MP3, basically. But that's 3.88 megabytes, right? And this is like 347 bytes because it's just the instruction, all right? Carry a paper and carry an instrument, all right? The paper is much lighter, it takes up much less space. Oops. Okay, so I caught out quite a few of you, all right? And most of you went for provides realistic playback. The key word there was performance, okay? It's not a performance, it's a playback. Yeah, so it communicates performance event. In fact, when you are playing on the piano, what is sent through the MIDI cable is basically, listen, this key was pressed with this strength. It measures the time that you pressed it with, okay? And now it was released, and now another note was pressed. It's actually just an instruction sequence of the performance itself. Okay, so Nigel is back. Good. Kenny is back on top as well. All right, competition is going on. Next question, question 14. A sampling rate of 38 kilohertz. Hmm. 10 seconds left. Many answers left.
Sorry.
Okay. Woo. All right. We're not sure here. I realized when I saw that half by half the time I had 0 answers. Okay. So we have a sampling rate of 38 kilohertz. As Gary 19 kilohertz frequency. All right, so you got it correct. Carmel went 76. All right, Mela. So we have a sampling rate of 38 kilohertz. This means that we are noting down the values of the microphone diaphragm position 38,000 times per second. Okay, 38,000 times per second. Essa. All of these options were Nyquist, but half of them were rates and half of them were frequencies. Now, when you are given a sampling rate, you need to find the Nyquist frequency. Okay, you don't find the rate because you are given the rate already. So like that, the reds and the greens are out of the question. All right, but we were given the sampling rate. We want to find the Nyquist frequency because we already have the rate. Essa. The Nyquist frequency of a sampling rate is the highest frequency you can capture with that sampling rate. Essa. If you are sampling every 1 on 38,000, we're basically saying this. So we have a time element there, and okay, let's put Control C. And if I paste it, no. Okay, let's draw another one. So yeah, something like this. Okay, let's copy. Yeah, let's copy that. Let's put it on 3. So if I have was 38. Oh, all right. Let's go for 1 hertz. So if these are the timings, okay, this is time 0. That's time 0. This is time 1. This is time 2, and this is time. Oops. Oh yeah, seconds. Sorry. So we have one wavelength in 1 second. Okay, one wavelength in 1 second, one wavelength in 1 second. So the frequency here is 1 hertz. Issa, if we take a sample every second, so let's say I take this sample here. All right, it means that until the next sample, there's going to be a duration of 1 second. So this is 1 second away from here is basically here. Okay, and 1 second away from here is basically here. So these are the actual samples that I'm going to measure. So I'm going to measure this value, I'm going to measure this value, and I'm going to measure this value. So when the speaker is going to play this back, the only instruction it has is to go in this position. The next instruction is stay in that position. The next instruction is stay in that position. And you guessed it, next instruction is stay in that position. So if I use the same sampling rate as the frequency, I will not capture that frequency. Okay, it will be a flat line. If I take 2 samples per second, it means that every half a second I'm going to have a sample. So halfway between these two, I guess it's somewhere here. Oops, not that. I wanted this one. Okay, so halfway between these two is somewhere here. a second, a second. So I'm going to have 2 samples in 1 second, 2 samples in 1 second. So now my samples are not only the ones on top, but also this one, oh yeah, it's straight, and this one. So now the speaker is being told, when I'm playing it back, go to this position, then 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 go to this position, and then go to this position. So we have captured a sort of a wavelength which repeats itself, okay, okay, every second. Maybe it's not it's only an approximation. Okay, in fact, it's inverted, quasi. No, it's phase shifted. It's not as loud. In fact, we say we should use more than this. But at least it has to be, okay, twice as much. So for a 1 Hertz frequency, we want to use twice the sampling rate. Twice the sampling rate. And I hear you, yes, that's why I chose 76. Because it's twice 38. Attenti, be careful. The sampling rate has to be twice the frequency. Okay? Not the frequency is twice the sampling rate. And also, not because it's a Nyquist, but that's always double. Okay? It depends. If it's the Nyquist rate, it should be double. Okay? But because we're given the rate, we want the Nyquist frequency. And that is half the sampling rate. So it should be 19 kilohertz, which is half of 38. That would be the highest frequency that you can capture with a sampling rate of 38 kilohertz. Okay? So I'm not worried with this range of answers because I know it's a common misconception. And so I'm happy with it. We're doing this revision because I can re-explain it again and detect where we have some issues here. So sampling rate, you want to find the Nyquist frequency, and that will be half that. If you're given the frequency, you want to find the Nyquist rate, which is twice that. Okay. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. Okay, Alex is coming back for the top. Be careful, can it? All right, so 15. To capture a soundscape with frequencies ranging from 60 Hz to 6000 Hz. Five seconds. Okay, we need some more explanations here. Mela. Okay, where do we start? So we have Nyquist of 15. Okay, so Gary, you good? Carmel, tell us, be honest, come on. What you would, or you were still considering?
I was considering the 3000, so I'm completely...
Okay. Mela, let's revisit this. So this time I gave you the frequency, okay? And in fact, all the options were about some kind of sampling rate or Nyquist rate, okay? Remember, the Nyquist rate in itself is the sampling rate. So, we're fine with rates. It's a soundscape with frequencies ranging from 60 Hz to 6000 Hz. Mela, those of you who chose the sampling rate of 3000, you went for half the 6000, right? But the sampling rate has to be twice the frequency. Okay, so you can't go down for the rate. The rate has always to be higher than the frequency. And it has to be higher than, looking now at the blues, okay, the sampling rate has to be twice or higher than the maximum frequency. So if it was just 60 Hertz, the blue answer would be fine. Okay, a sampling rate of 120 Hertz, because it's twice as much as 60 Hertz. Then you have 6000 Hertz as well to capture. So in this case, you should ignore the lower range and look at the highest range. Okay, so the highest frequency is 6000 Hertz. We want to capture the 6000 Hertz. 120 Hertz, of course, it's less than 6000, so that's not good. Then we have an Nyquist rate of 8 kilohertz, which is, yes, greater than 6000, okay, but it's not double, all right? It's not big enough. 8 kilohertz is 8000 hertz, yes, but it's not big enough. Remember, the Nyquist frequency for a sampling rate of 8 kilohertz is 4000 hertz. The maximum you can capture correctly is 4000 hertz. So that's also bad. The final one, which at least 4, including Gary, I got correct. So a Nyquist rate of 15K. Why? So our top frequency is 6000 hertz. Double that is 12,000 hertz or 12 kilohertz. And anything higher is good. Okay. In fact, if you remember on the CD, and even on the first example, on the first quiz question, in CDs we use 44,100 hertz, 44,100 hertz as a sampling rate, which is bigger than 40,000. Remember, 20,000 is our physical limit. Twice that is 40,000. But on CDs we use 44,100, which is bigger than that. We also use 48,000 on the DVD. Okay, so as long as it's more than twice, okay, that's great. So here, 15 kilohertz is a good answer because it is more than 12 kilohertz, which is twice the 6000 hertz. Yes, there was also the visual gimmick, illi I didn't choose 12, I chose 15. And the blue one has 12 in it, 120, but that is the 12. So you might have been misled by that as well. 6012 versus 12, only one? Okay, let's go for that. Again, be careful to read the question and the answers. And yes, there's also the time going along, the time pressure, understood. But yes, these kind of questions also help you. I mean, if you chose 120, right, the time doesn't let you think enough, and so your first reaction, okay, is gonna get priority. And sometimes that happens in an exam. Right? You choose an answer, you keep on going on, and maybe you come back to reflect, and I chose this, and you have your doubts then, right? Having the theory strong there, okay, will help you avoid these kind of pitfalls. Okay, let's see. Okay, we have Alex back at the top. It's been like 10 questions ago that you were up top. Good comeback. Luke got that correct as well. Okay, Kenny and the others. Okay, last 5 in the last half hour. I have to say, I timed these 20 questions well, apparently. Mela, let me change this in case I need that. Mela, 11. So, next question. Question 16. tweeters are. Ten seconds. Okay, a bit of a
Did the time jump just now?
What?
Did the time just jump from 10 to 0?
No.
I wasn't paying attention. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe everyone answered.
Everyone answered
Then
yes.
jump.
Yes. You're right.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah, whenever that, so it doesn't wait for everyone. It doesn't know about the offliners. That's the problem. Okay, so many of you got it right. Small speakers. Yeah, short social media posts. That's Twitter tweets. Okay. A kind of earphones. No. High frequency sounds. Yes. So tweeters play high frequency sounds. Granted. But tweeters are the names we give to the speakers. Yes. Maybe you did not realize that tweeters are small, so you went for the high frequency. Why are they small speakers? Because they need to be agile enough to play high frequency sounds. Because high frequency sounds basically require the speaker diaphragm to go back and forth very fast. All right, high frequency means change, big change in position, fast, a fast big change in position. So tweeters need to be small in order to be agile enough, to make these high frequency sounds. Sorry. So the yellow, was that yellow? I guess so. Orange, yellow, orange. The orange answer, I don't know. The third answer, the circle answer. There you go. The circle answer is close. All right, but the tweeter is the name of the speaker, not of the sound. And tweeters are small speakers. Okay, Alexandru, coming our explanation. Yes, that's a good question. And maybe a bit of a that would be so. Yeah, no, tweeters actually. Wait, you said ear headphones, right? Oh, check earphones. So Shandruk's saying, earphones are small, so of course they have small speakers, and small speakers we're saying they're tweeters. How do we get bass sound in that? So, do we have an earphones anatomy? Potentially, this one would be possibly great. But I want the. Okay, Ashman Tumblr. All right, so noir. Let's go for noir. Isn't there visits?
Maybe you can look for exploded view.
Yes, okay, makes sense. So, earphones, exploded view. I mean, it will depend on from ResearchGate. Okay. Do we have the actual image? This is a research paper, that's why there's all this stuff in it. There you are. Base tube. Okay. So, coaxial connector, dynamic driver, sharp podcast, crisps, outer cabinet for that, Eva. So, yeah, if you didn't realize, no, I have no idea how they managed to get that. So, earphones bass tube. Deep bass noise cancelling. Once we had a website to check called How It Works. Earphones bass tube. Thank you. Mana. Closed tunnel between speaker and your ear. Can escape from this, so it's not basically cause your ears and make them very efficient. And yeah, I guess this is gonna be answering that. So, your body's bass resonator. They could use rather, a bone conduction. So, zoom in a bit. Zoom in a bit. So, what makes headphones different? Aren't operating in open air. Basically, the headphones and in-ear variety create a more or less closed tunnel between speaker and your ear. Little air can escape, so your headphones can directly couple to your eardrums, making them very efficient. All an in-ear monitor sealed into your ear, the ones that Gary, I think, or Gavin showed us, coupled very well to your eardrums and produces plenty of bass despite its small size. Open back headphones may not seal so tightly, so they're typically loaded with larger headphone drivers and are able to move plenty of air down the ear canal. So, the bass from the earphones is thanks to the fact that there is no loss of pressure by air coming out of your ear. So it's using the pressure within the ear itself to create this bassy sound. Also, your eardrums don't react much to these frequencies lower than about 80, but you can perceive down to 20 because these resonate in your body cavities like chest and stomach and the bones of the skull. So yes, so the Woozer vest I have would present the brain with this information, and the skull bones would convey the frequencies between 20 and 80, also to the cochlea and the rest of the head. Yeah, so this is another example. This is like the Woozer vest. It's another one using the bones of the body to convey that. Yeah, thanks anyway for the question. It was always something I wanted some time to actually look at that, but it helps understand more. Okay, when you see, okay, but how is that possible? Less confusion in our brains. Okay. So, Luke takes the lead with 4 questions to go. All right. Next one. Quiz for a bandpass filter. Ten seconds. Okay, so everybody's correct, of course, because all of the above are correct. But of course, those 5 who chose the red one need to understand also why the others are also available. So, yes, so a bandpass filter is made out from a low pass filter and a high pass filter. Basically, so if the low pass filter is something like this and the high pass filter is something like this, if we take the low pass filter and put it back to back with the high pass filter, we basically create a band pass filter between these two. All right. So what we have here is this part is of the low pass and this part is of the high pass. So the cutoff frequency of the high pass filter should be lower than the cutoff frequency of the low pass filter. So we can write it like this. So high pass filter cutoff frequency, so dot CF, okay, should be lower than the low pass filter dot cutoff frequency. Okay, the cutoff frequency is that section beyond which frequencies are filtered. All right, so this one down here, that's the high pass cutoff frequency, and this one is the low pass cutoff frequency. When you combine them like that, you create a band pass filter. A band pass filter, because you only allow those who are not filtered by any of the two. Okay, whatever is between these two is accepted by both, so that is allowed to pass. That causes the band pass filter. So 5 of you there are correct, and also the other 8 of you are correct. Issa, the blue one can filter out wind and hissing, and also that was chosen by Gary. Yes. Why? Because a band pass filter, wind are usually low frequency. Okay, wind is usually low frequency, so wind would be somewhere here. Hissing sound is a high frequency sound, and that is usually up here. So using a band pass filter, you can avoid the wind and you can avoid the hissing, and just focus on the more interesting center. All right, so yes, correct. It also does that. It can single out a single voice. Yes, as well, because if we have a full range of frequencies, and a particular voice is singing, it's using this frequency range, then we can do a band pass filter that will attenuate all the other frequencies, allow this to pass, and attenuate all the others. Okay, so it can also single out a single voice and allow it to be heard louder than the others surrounding it. So yes, it's all of the above. Okay, but the bus filter qualifies for all of these. Bridget getting that one correct, but still keeping the same place. Okay. 3 more. Okay. A frequency is sampled at 7,000 hertz and captured as 3,000. What is it? Okay, so the sampling rate is 7,000 hertz, and the frequency is captured as 3,000 hertz. What is it actually? Sorry for the laugh. It was or giggle. Yeah. There's a generic, not. All right. So this is about aliasing. Okay, this is about aliasing. It is about a signal which is not good, Gary, which is not captured as it actually is. Potentially. It's like looking at the racing car and seeing the hubcaps going backward. Okay, because your sampling rate is not fast enough. But it's all about the numbers. So there is a frequency which we don't know the frequency of, which is being sampled at 7,000 hertz. Okay, that's a Nyquist rate of 7,000 hertz, and it's a Nyquist frequency of half of that, 3,500 hertz. And we have a signal that is captured. Okay, Glenn, it had to happen at some time, right? So 7,000 hertz, 3,500 as the Nyquist frequency, and the signal was captured as 3000 hertz. 3000 hertz. So let's also paint that a bit. Voilà. We have our frequency range. We have a 36. I have a 0 hertz there, and we have our sampling rate, which is 7000 hertz, and the Nyquist frequency, which is in the middle of 3500 hertz. So that's our. So that's the Nike frac. This one here is the sampling rate. We have a signal which is being shown as being captured at 3000 hertz. Okay, and the options are that it's actually at 3500 hertz. Well, since the sampling rate is 7000, the Nyquist frequency, the highest frequency you can capture, is 3500 hertz. So if it was actually at 3500 hertz, it would have been represented, captured as at 3500 hertz. Okay, so that's not the answer. It wouldn't have been captured as 3000. It would have been captured as is. As is. So, no, that doesn't qualify. It could be a 5000 hertz signal aliased as 3000 hertz. And similarly, we have 6000 hertz aliased as 3000. Mela, we have these options here. We have the 5000, which is somewhere 4, 5, somewhere here, and the 6000, which is somewhere here. I'm gonna pick somewhere there. Okay. So with aliasing, what happens is that the signal is mirrored. Okay, these two are too high. Okay, they are higher than the 3500. We said that they are 6000 hertz, and this one was, I forgot what color it was. I think it's red. It was 5000 hertz. Okay, they are higher than the Nyquist frequency. So what happens is that they are mirrored into the lower range, So this one is going to be mirrored in here to a value that is 5000 minus 3500. That's 1500. So 1500 less than 3500. So that turns up to be, if it was tried to capture, it would have been captured as a 2000 hertz signal. 2000 hertz signal. Likewise, the 6000 hertz, which is 2500 hertz more than the Nyquist frequency, that would have been captured as a value that is 2500 hertz less. So that would have been a 1000 hertz signal. So these two would be aliased into 2000, 1000 respectively, not 3000, not 3000. So from all these options, the signal is actually a 3000 hertz signal, right? Because it is less than the Nyquist frequency, and all the others are. So what could have been a signal that was aliased into 3000? It would have to be a mirror image across the Nyquist frequency. The difference here is of 500, so it would have had to be
4K.
a 4K. That okay, a 4000 hertz. If it was a 4, that's right, 4K, so it fits. If it was a 4 kilohertz signal, yes, that would have been aliased into 3000 Hertz. But I was crafty enough not to put it as one of the options. Okay, I'll put this into the chat for reference there. So my suggestion, I forgot if there's a question on this, I'll be honest. But if there is, draw them, okay, just like I did now, okay, draw them and calculate them. Speaking of the exam, it's actually a 2-hour paper, not a 1-hour paper. And I had planned it for a 1 hour. So I had to sort of rethink, okay, how could it be fairer and occupy a bit more time? And basically, a few of the multiple choice questions, you have to also justify your choice. Okay, so in this one, you wouldn't just choose this one. You have to explain why it is this one, the correct answer. There could be the chance that I ask you to explain not the one you choose, okay, but why the others are wrong. Okay, so I've picked 2 from the ones that you didn't choose and tell me why they are not the correct answer. All right, it's still less than 2 hours. Okay, so you do have time to check your work again and be paranoid about this one and check it again. But some of the multiple choice questions, you have to explain why that is the choice that you're going for. Okay, so practically doing what I'm doing here, in a way. All right, but that also means that you will not be so lucky. You know, don't bring your D4 dice. Roll the dice. Oh, maybe I got it right. Okay, you get points. Now, don't take it like that. You do get points for just picking the right answer, but then there are some more points for explaining your justification. Okay, explaining why you chose that. Okay, so any changes? Ooh, nothing at the top.
Sorry.
Yes.
Is it all multiple choice questions? Or?
It's a mixture of. Okay, there are multiple choice questions, and there are maybe sort of a statement, and you have to explain, that it's a mixture of. All right, but there are quite a few of them which are multiple choice, and of course they occupy the bulk of the paper because you have. I mean, when I ask a question, it's just a single sentence. When it's a multiple choice, you have the question, 4 different answers. I also have some images in there, so.
Thanks.
Okay, last 2. True or false? Should be easy one. A license is needed to use library samples. Of course, not that kind of license that you're seeing there, not the driving license. Two seconds, by the way. Mela. Yeah, it's called the creative license. Okay, so, no, it's true, you need a license. Library samples most often are under the creative license, which means that you would have to either attribute it to the author, or it might be, a free use license. You could use it without royalty. So what I meant there, where a license is needed, is that you have to follow what the license requires. Some of them, as I said, will require you to cite them. Some of them will allow you to modify it. Some of you will not. Okay, no, you have to use as is. You can use it freely. Don't pay me anything, but use as is. You can't modify it. So when you're looking at those library samples, do check what can you do with it. Okay, it will be in its license. Okay. I stumbled quite a few of you there. Kelly's back up on top. All right. And the last question will give us a bit of suspense for the last one. All right. So last question is a 4-choice. Using a sinusoidal wave to modify another wave is called 5 seconds left. Okay. We end with a sweet cherry on top. Okay, good. All right. Hopefully Carmel chose the right one. You're not saying it. So, sinusification doesn't exist. Right, Carmel?
Yeah, I chose the green one, yes.
Okay. So sinusification doesn't exist. All right. The wave table is a table of samples that a keyboard would have. All right. What happened there? Can it? And moderation. No. And the proper word there is modulation. Okay, the proper word is modulation. So let's see the final podium here. Third, we have Luke, guessing 13 out of 20. 15 out of 20, we have Alexandru. And can you explain?
The faster that you answer, the more score you get for the answer. So
Yes, all right. So,
There's an element of timing in them with the points and the answers.
That's right. Alexandru is not happy about that. But of course, that doesn't count. That doesn't count in the exam, right? So the exam you have 2 hours. It's not the faster one who does it. It's taking the time to do that. So Alex, you can still keep the most answered questions. And Gary, there is. I think I got them right. So I think so. Gary got 15 as well. Okay, good. We had runners up there, right? I saw Brigitte and oh god, I forgot who's the other one. Okay, but I know I saw Brigitte and yeah, somebody Floyd is not really impressed. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. The multiple choice staying approach is also applied in the paper. So some of them are similar. As you saw, we didn't just explain the questions, we did explain a bit around the topic as well. So that should be also helpful for the overall revision. And also finishing off with a quiz. It's something, a bit of levity, a bit of lessening the pressure, but also learning from it as well. We will be meeting after the exams, as I said, to cover the requirements for the assignment. Basically, to make sure you understand, I'm correcting and giving you feedback on your proposals. But also then to show you how to use the audio design engine that you will need for your coursework. I plan to at least have 2 tutorials on that. Okay, tutorials on the second one. You will not need to stay on for the full 2 hours. But the first one is sort of me showing you how to use it, okay, and what you can do with that, and maybe also making sure that all of you are able to make it work. The second tutorial would be me seeing any issues that you would have had. So they will sometime later, so you'd have time to try out your stuff. And if you can't manage something, then you can use that to iron out some issues. I would still say it's worth meeting all together because some issues of one person other person would also have them, or they might have them in the future. They haven't done them yet. So there's a bit of a communal understanding there in place. Okay. Any final questions at this stage?
None from my end. Thank you.
Okay, I hope I met your expectations of revision, Kenneth, or on a different, two different.
Actually, it was a fantastic outside of the scoring and everything, really. but this method of revision has actually covered the entirety of the syllabus that we need for the exam.
Great.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And also, it's not the boring. Let's go over the notes again, right? It was a bit interactive as well.
I hope I didn't lose a friend through it.
Okay, you're very welcome. You did lose one, Alec. You did lose one, Kenneth. Yes. Okay. So I won't wish you best of luck because you need to work hard for it. No. I wish you luck for the other exams, but also on this one. And I see you all after the exams. And you will hear from me with respect to feedback. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. Thank you, sir.
Very welcome. Take care.